the private school admission process. And I am Jennifer Webb. I am the Director of Enrollment Management and Financial Aid here at Flint Hill. And I'll be your host for the webinar this afternoon. And I just a little bit afternoon, 1 minute afternoon. And I'd also like to introduce my colleague, Laura.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, two screens. My name is Laura Day. I'm the Enrollment Data and Services Coordinator here at Flint Hill, and I work closely with Jennifer on keeping Husky Hub, which you'll hear more about, nice and neat, and it's lovely to meet you all. Thank you for your interest in the school.
Thank you, Laura. And so today's webinar is all about finding the best fit school, about discovering the discovery and the admission process. So getting to know schools, deciding which ones to apply to, and then we'll also get into next steps with Flint Hill as well. So that is what's up ahead. The first step is really starting with your family. So I encourage families that are thinking about heading on this journey, and they're asking the questions about where does their family and where does their child belong, to really take a minute and start to think about your family, your family's values. There's some questions you can start asking about your child's values. What qualities and experiences are you looking for? What size group, when you're observing your child in different situations, what size group do you think that they'll thrive in? What type of community is important to you? Here at Flint Hill, we very much focus on the journey. And we're proud of our outcomes, but we also recommend that families really think about the journey and the outcome they are seeking, both of those things together. And we'll talk a little bit more about the journey later, but in terms of some Flint Hill outcomes, here at Flint Hill, our graduates tend to report back that they are more prepared than their peers for college academics, to engage with faculty and resources, to engage meaningfully in academic pursuits, to solve problems creatively. They're more confident in exploring passions and pursuing their own goals and taking responsibilities for action. So that's some of what our graduates report back. So when you're thinking of questions that you're going to ask a school, and we do have a resource that we'll send in a follow-up email, which is exactly that, 25 questions to ask schools you're considering. One of the questions might be, what do graduates of Flint Hill say about their experience, both the journey when they were here and also how that journey has helped prepare them for next steps. Of course, you'll want to think about the basics. It's location. How far are you willing to drive for drop-offs and pickups? Create your kind of circus radius of around your home or your office of where you can and maybe can't go. If it's a little bit out of where you're comfortable or able to go, asking about, is transportation provided? Is there a cost for transportation? Think about carpool networks. A lot of families utilize carpool networks here at Flint Hill, and I know a lot of other schools have them too. So families coming from different neighborhoods and different areas get together and take turns driving the kids in. And then to go a little bit deeper, other questions to ask are educational philosophy. Does the institution have a portrait of a student or a portrait of a graduate that can help you get to know what they are preparing the students to do? At Flint Hill, our students are self-directed learners, problem solvers, leaders, and effective communicators, as well as ethical citizens. And if you're interested in learning more about the portrait of a student for Flint Hill, we actually have a blog post about that and many, many other topics at blog.flinthill.org. And so we'll also be sure to link that in the follow-up email so that you can access that and any other topics that you might be interested in. And then to dig a little bit deeper into educational philosophy, you may want to ask what the school's approach is to education. At Flint Hill, we are known and we are the place where we're always curious, we're always innovating. Flint Hill unleashes every student's potential to make a meaningful impact on the world. We inspire students to think and learn without limits. And we understand that each child is unique, and every day we redefine excellence in education as we continuously innovate across programs and help children to cultivate their passions, children and students. Our students learn to appreciate the journey. You've heard me say that already a couple of times, while also developing the confidence to blaze their own trail. And so you want to ask about belief statements, mission, vision, hear those from the different school, read those from the different school, and really is different schools, and really think about, does that align with your family's values? Does that align with your family's beliefs? Because so much of partnering with a independent school is where that alignment falls. The partnership is going to be really strong when there is that alignment between really core values, mission, and vision. And so hopefully as you start to hear about these different aspects of a school, you'll get an idea for the ethos of a school and how well that may fit with your family. And I mentioned core values. So our core values here at Flint Hill are up on the screen. And so just to give you an example, an exercise, if you will, to read those, to really think about, does that sit with you well? And that's something you want to practice with all of the schools that you might be considering in your private school search, so that you can really make that partnership strong. Flint Hill, we really are united by our core values here. We come together as a community to act with integrity, mutual respect, compassion, and support each other. Our core values are steeped in our culture, and they are taught at the earliest grades and enforced throughout the entire learning journey. These values are a measure of all we do, and we inspire each other to be their best selves through these values every day. And then back to going through considering the basics. So we talked about location and transportation. We talked about educational philosophy. Another aspect of the real basics is the cost, and considering the cost of an institution. Similar to location, affordability is also critical. So you want to take a close look at your family's budget and determine what tuition level you can afford. As you research your options, don't be discouraged if a school you're interested in seems out of reach financially. Many independent schools do offer financial aid, but you have to start the process early. So for all of this, it's just really great that all of you are here and thinking about this this experience and finding private schools, thinking about it now, you're right on track. And so that'll be really helpful for both the admission side and then the financial aid side, if that's something that you're interested in. And so when you're considering the financial aspects of investing in private education and you're budgeting and seeing if it'll work, you'll also probably want to ask the school, what other fees can you expect beyond just the tuition? If flexible payment plans are offered, here at Flint Hill, we offer 1, 2, and 10 payment plan options throughout the year. And you want to ask if and how financial aid is awarded. And we are actually going to provide a webinar all about affordability in private education. So if you are available and interested, that will be on November 4th, and that is on our events webpage. So you can join us for that one too if you'd like. As you look at your investment and you look at the tuitions, what a lot of families will naturally begin to wonder is it worth it? And of course, clearly we think it's worth it, but a lot of reasons that our families come back and tell us again and again why the investment in private school is worth it to them include small class sizes and the low student to teacher ratios that really support the student experience and allows each child to be challenged where they can be challenged and stretched in healthy ways, and to be supported in the areas that they need more support. And the smaller communities are also able to provide cross training across teachers so that they are, everybody has their different teaching style, but there is also some consistency from teacher to teacher in the teaching and learning. Another great thing that families report appreciating and seeing private school is worth it is teachers have flexibility in how they teach and what they teach. So in the absence of mandatory testing, teachers are able to focus on the mastery of real world application. And that also gets the kids really excited and inspired as well. Early inspiration from bold, creative teachers with advanced degrees. Again, teachers. A lot of the teachers, for the reasons that I just mentioned, that families appreciate independent schools are the same exact reasons why teachers choose to work at private schools, because they're able to have these different options. Families also report that it's worth it for the character development, back to that firm foundation and values. Private funding ensures critical access and continuance of programs, fosters self-directed learning. A lot of families report the community. They just love being with each other. They love the close-knit community, the values-aligned community, and having that support system, both for their kids and frankly for themselves, for the parents too. And then of course the foundation of security really allows children to take risk and be themselves, and the parents also have a lot of comfort in knowing the track record of safety at independent schools. All right. So, skipped ahead a little bit there. All right, to move ahead a little bit to the learning environment. So, really thinking about the curriculum that a school offers, and again, how does that align with your family? You'll want to choose a curriculum and a delivery method as appropriate that you think your child will respond to. For example, with small classes and attention to every student at Flint Hill, we are able to teach to every child's strengths. And we also value diverse voices and perspective taking in our curriculum. We've done a curriculum audit to ensure that there are diverse voices, and all of our students are reading on a variety of topics and literature, and able to practice some perspective taking through that as well. Some other questions to ask yourself are, what do you want your child to get from their educational experience? Are you looking for something more traditional, or are you looking for something linear? Or are you looking for your child to dive deeper into learning and discover new passions? As you've probably seen, if you've spent any time on our website at Flint Hill, we take passion very seriously, and curiosity as well. Those are really two driving forces behind everything that we do here at Flint Hill: passion and curiosity. And that's because neuroscience has taught us that deep learning takes place when people are in an effective and an emotional state. And so we love relationships and community for the sake of relationships and community, but we also know that this is one of the many reasons that our students remain so passionate, because they feel really connected. And it's also why they're able to be vulnerable and live that vision that we have of taking meaningful risk and being themselves, is because they do feel connected, safe, and secure. So they are able to explore those curiosities and take those risks, and really going out there together and asking questions and coming up with new ways to look at an idea or a problem. And so this is something that's emphasized across all divisions at Flint Hill. In middle school, they, really focus on lower school. There's a lot of focus here on, again, that passion, keeping that passion for learning, understanding how to think. So metacognition, it's really about how to learn and how to think and how to approach things instead of, memorizing things, whether text or formulas. It's really about how to approach things and investigate them. In middle school, they really, continue to practice that vulnerability and taking meaningful risk and continue to deepen their learning by really understanding what tools work for them and practicing. And it's a opportunity before everyone starts thinking about college, which starts to happen in upper school, where you can practice some new tools for a quiz. And it's okay if it doesn't go well, because if it doesn't go well, those tools don't work for you, and let's figure out what other tools might work. And then when we get to upper school, it's really about knowing who they are as a learner. They, have some idea about what works best for them. And now it's really time to start advocating for what they need to learn that the way that they learn. And those advocacy skills become particularly useful in college. And they have a lot of freedom and space to practice what those skills that they'll need in college in our upper school program. Because that's the whole idea behind the college prep program. Other things to consider is if the school has a learning center. If so, you'll want to make sure your schools on the list have resources that are going to help your child learn best. Here at Flint Hill, we have a nationally recognized learning center with learning specialists that coach our faculty on how to teach to all different learning styles in the classroom. And then we have a specialist that will work with students with specific diagnosed learning differences for that smaller population here. And when you're thinking about curriculum and thinking about programs and some of these questions to ask, you'll want to consider how committed they are to the intentionality behind the curriculum. Ask questions about why things are in the order that they're in, why things are laid out in the program the way that they are, to get a really understanding of the school's intentionality behind what they're teaching and the curriculum. Another aspect of to consider is community. As I've mentioned, community is so big here at Flint Hill. We know that academics are really important. We're school after all. And of course, that is, challenging students and providing them with opportunities and a safe space. But also think about the people that you're going to be around. Are these your people? Understanding a school's community and culture, both for students, for teachers, for parents, are really a great opportunity. Is this where you want to spend your time? Is this where you want your child to spend time? Ask what they look for in prospective faculty, in addition to understanding what credentials and experience the teacher has. Ask how the teachers connect with their students, because again, so much of that depth in learning comes from that deep student-teacher connection. If you can get to campus, as soon as you step foot on campus, I think you'll get a feeling as you look into classrooms what that teacher-student connection looks like, and does that align with what you're looking for? If you're someone that wants to be involved in the community, you want to be on campus, ask about ways to get involved at the school. You can also ask to talk with current parents to get an idea of what the parents are like there, what they've thought about the community. If the school has the opportunity to offer prospective families or applicant families to come into campus for different community events, that's another great way to get a glimpse into the authentic community at Flint Hill. I think if a really fun question that you can ask schools is if their school was a person, how would you describe their personality? And here at Flint Hill, the way that we would describe, or I would describe Flint Hill's personality, inventive, curious, courageous, supportive, inclusive, and intentional. And so that can be a fun question to ask and learn about the different schools. And we mentioned safety a little bit earlier. I know this is top of mind for so many families. It has been paramount to families, and it took a whole new meaning the last couple of years. So as you research schools, you'll, if this is a priority for you, you'll want to ask about sick days, absence policy, security staffing, security procedures, security background, and schools should be prepared to partner with parents to support students who might be anxious or fearful for their well-being due to a variety of different concerns that might be out there. So again, looking for a strong partner who's going to support your child in the way that you support them as well. Flexibility, well, flexible learning formats hopefully are too prevalent now. Looking at a school's track record for how they provided a continuity of education during a crisis such as the last pandemic can really give a family security, knowing that a school is prepared to go the distance and prepared to make sure that children stay in school or at least stay learning in a way that works for them, regardless of what landscape we might be looking at in the future. So flexible, agile, innovative schools are typically prepared to make sure that learning keeps happening. And so that might be something that you want to ask about. All right. And so after you've asked these questions, you've thought about what's important to you, you've thought about what questions you want to ask, the admission team at a school or whoever else you might be in correspondence with at the school, you'll start that engagement process. So if you still need to make that school list as you're kind of looking at your values list and looking for what schools might align, of course, Google is a great resource. The National Association of Independent Schools, the Virginia Association of Independent Schools, here in this area, the Association of Independent Schools of the Greater Washington area have a lot of great resources for helping you hone in on some schools in that search. As I mentioned, if you can, engage in the community, get to campus, fill out an inquiry form so you start receiving information from the schools that are on your list of interest, attend events like you are now, both virtual and in person. This is, of course, a more general one about helping families broadly navigate the admission, the discovery and the admission process. But as you become interested in a school, whether you're interested in lower, middle, or upper school, start attending those information sessions. If you can get to campus, always ideal to step foot on the campus when you're ready for that. Homecoming events are homecoming. Everyone who's here will get an invitation to be invited to come join our homecoming festivities, see what our community spirit's like, see how our parents interact with each other and our students do as well. A lot of schools, such as us, we offer phone meetings, virtual meetings, campus tours. Social media is another great way to engage. Follow the schools of interest on Facebook, Instagram. We also have a Flickr account, Twitter. As I mentioned, we have a blog that has a lot of great content, and by reading through that, you can really get a sense of who we are. So look for blogs or any other sources of content that schools might be producing. And then, as I mentioned, you can always ask to be connected with other current families. You call it an admissions office or and ask if there's a certain type of interest that you're looking for. Ask to be connected with a family that shares in that interest. And a lot of our families have shared, just kind of captured some of what families have shared with other families, that they've come to Flint Hill because it's a real well-rounded education, that it's academically rigorous and provides an environment where academic and analytical skills can flourish. Flint Hill also covers listening to other voices, character, integrity, respect, balance, again, character development, strong values, which are infused throughout the school, teaching children how to conduct themselves as future leaders and influencers. So again, we have that resource, 25 questions, that have some of the questions that I've said here that you can print out. You can take to schools, circle the ones that are important to you, take to schools, and that will be in the follow-up email that we share today or tomorrow after today's session. And so now we'll turn over to we walk through the school discovery process and considering schools, the questions to ask, what to consider as you're trying to decide that critical best fit school for your child. And just know that what schools are typically here to help. I know at Flint Hill, we love helping families along the path determine if we are the best fit. And we just love helping families find the best fit school, whether it's us or another school. We just, we're really happy to see families find their best fit school. And so that leads us into the admission process and the application process. So I am going to go ahead and turn it back over to Laura so she can tell you a little bit more about the admission process at Flint Hill.
Thanks, Jennifer. So like she's been saying, you know, if you've searched around your independent school process and you've decided, all right, I'm ready to apply, I've done my research, how do I go forward? Here at Flint Hill, it's so much more than a process. It's a potential start to a partnership. We want to partner with your family, especially since we're in the long game of the education of your child. We love getting to know you and ask you to bring your authentic selves so we can really start that partnership early on, just in the admission process. If it's the right fit for the school and for your family, then your child's probably going to be admitted, and rest assured in that. Take some pressure off yourself, your child, in the process. I know it can seem kind of hairy, especially in January when all the deadlines are due, but it's important to take a deep breath, and you've done your research and had open communication with all your schools. So just know that. Deadlines. So ours is January 20th. The very first step is the application form. You can do that online. Ours takes about 20 minutes to complete. Once it's finished, you'll receive instructions on how to access Husky Hub. Husky Hub is our online portal. When the application is submitted, you'll see a checklist of the to-do items and required materials for the application. So all of those materials need to be in, again, by January 20th. All of the necessary materials you can request directly from that online checklist. So first off is transcripts or progress reports. Transcripts, we would like you to request them in November, or after your first kind of quarter or trimester ends, so that we can get current grades from this most current school year. Sometimes if you're applying for JK or first or kindergarten, it seems transcripts is kind of a funny word, but any sort of progress report will do, and work with us and your admission officer for that sort of documentation. Teacher recommendations. We also would love for this to be your child's current teacher that you send them to. We want to know how they're doing in class, how they've adjusted to the start of the school year, and so on and so forth. So again, our checklist is super user-friendly. You'll log in, you'll get to submit the teacher's name and email address. The request, goes directly to the teacher and directly back to us. So there's no kind of middleman wrangling there. If you would like to provide extra or supplemental recommendations, we'll take those too. We have a form that you can request, or if it's a coach or a piano teacher or such and such, we'll always take narrative emails or recommendations that way as well. Next off is questionnaires. We at Flint Hill ask for a parent questionnaire, and also for students, a student questionnaire for grades 7 through 12, if you're applying there. We'd also like a writing sample for those older grades, just to see where they are. It helps with class placement a little bit later down the line. So it's easy, it doesn't have to be graded or anything, and you can just upload a current sample there. Testing. Testing is a big question when it comes to admissions, especially in the independent school kind of realm as you're shopping around. So that's a big question you want to ask each school you're applying to. For us, JK to second, we require the Gazelle developmental observation. That's done here on campus. You can schedule that from your admission checklist, again in Husky Hub. For grades 3 and up, 3 to 12, we do not require any testing, but if you've had it done before, let's say you've had the WISC, the WIPSI, or any of the public school kind of standardized testing, we would love that information if you have it. And that can also be uploaded directly from either the application or Husky Hub as well. Parent or guardian and student interviews. So we do have a parent guardian interview as part of the process. Most independent schools will. We also have the student participate if they're rising grade 5 and up. So we would just want to have a conversation with the student, kind of get to know them, see what they think about the independent school kind of shopping process, what they're looking for in a school, and get their kind of feedback to see if it would be the right fit as well. So those are the biggies, the big requirements. The next thing is, when do I apply? Now, early. The sooner you begin this process, the easier it is to schedule interviews, get all the scheduling kind of things done and out of the way. Like we said, the whole package needs to be done by January 20th. We followed the AISGW, which is a lot of letters, but it's the Independent Schools of Greater Washington is this collective group, and we follow a very similar and general timeline as they do. So you'll see a lot of your schools that you're applying to follow that similar time. We do find that if families wait until January after the winter break, it can get kind of crazy with scheduling and things get caught up with calendars. So we do encourage you to start the process early. That way it gives everybody a little bit of wiggle room and some breathing room to schedule all of these things. We do, like other schools, offer financial aid. That application is separate and it's available on our tuition and financial aid page on our website. It is also due on January 20th. And Jennifer is the head of our financial aid, and so she can answer specific questions that you may have about that process as well. So after January 20th, there's a big kind of collective sigh of relief on everybody's end. And then we issue decisions on the first Friday in March. This year, I believe it's March 3rd. And if you applied for financial aid, the financial aid and admission decisions are all issued at the same time. And that, I believe, is at 4 o'clock on the first Friday in March. Mm-hmm. And then after that, late spring and summer is a focus on the transition and getting to meet our current Husky families. And we have a few events every year to try to build those relationships early so that no one feels isolated and alone starting a new school year. And we work on a lot of, again, community building so that everybody feels kind of a part of the big Husky family right from the very beginning. All right. I hope that answers everybody's questions about the process. If you have any further ones, please feel free to email us directly. And I'll toss it back to Jennifer for next steps.
Yeah, thank you so much, Laura. That was great. And so in terms of next steps, before I talk a little bit more about a few next steps, it'll be pretty quick. If you have questions that we can answer for you now about anything that we've talked about, go ahead and drop them in the chat feature, and we will either answer them here during this meeting, or if it makes more sense, we may follow up with you later. But we're the place that loves curiosity, and we want to know what you're curious about, what's on your mind, and we're here to engage in that dialogue. So feel free to use the chat function and other ways after we get off this webinar today that you can connect with Flint Hill. As I mentioned, we have events, we have some on campus, we have some virtual, we have ones that are more cross-divisional about our mission and our values, our different innovation and arts, different areas of the school, math workshops in lower school, and then sessions that are specifically about each division. So encourage you to sign up for virtual events, come to campus. That's how you're going to get the best feel Also, campus tours, they're on our website. You'll see the very last bullet point there. It's the flinthill.org/admission-team. That's a mouthful, but you can schedule a campus tour for every division. You can also schedule the phone consultation, the virtual meeting with any of our admission officers. And we love working with families. We love hearing from you and having those conversations and doing everything that we can to support your journey to finding the best independent school for your child or children. I mentioned social media and the blog. There's the link to the blog there. Other great ways to stay connected with us. And so that concludes our presentation here today. Laura, do we have some questions there?
We have one about college counseling, just details about that process, I think. And another great question that often comes up is, does financial aid applications impact negatively the general application?
Those are both great questions. And so we are a college prep school, of course. And so we do have one of the largest college counseling teams in the region. They've all worked in colleges previously, and they are here to help students find their best fit schools. So programming starts as soon as at the beginning of the fall in the ninth grade year. And so there's a program built to help students and parents prepare for that search, creating the college list, thinking about what courses they're taking, making sure that they are going to align with what the colleges on their list are seeking, and of course through the applying process as well. And in terms of the financial aid, absolutely not. A financial aid application and admissions are two completely separate functions here. And so our admission process, I'm the one person that overlaps both of those processes. And other than me, nobody else overlaps those two. We have an admission committee that is making decisions about admission, and they do not see anything on, they don't even know if the family's applying for aid, and they certainly don't see any details if they are. And then after we make all of the admissions decisions, the families that are being admitted and have also applied for aid then go for review in the financial aid committee. And so those do not impact each other at all.
Perfect. And then one more question has come up. If you could just give an overview of class size throughout the school.
Sure. So at Flint Hill, our class size typically does not go over 18 students. And so that's certainly true in the lower school, where we might have a grade that has a couple different sections. So we might have a few more, like 2 or 3 sections per grade, depending on the grade. In JK, we have 1 section. In kindergarten through 4th grade, we have 2. And then in 5th and 6th, we have 3 sections, but none of the sections go above 18 students. Once you get to middle school and upper school, it's the same cap. Every once in a while in middle school and upper school, just because of the scheduling and the programming is a little bit different. There might be courses that we've determined, might be more appropriate for a couple more students, but not many. The overwhelming majority are 18. To go over 18 is a pretty uncommon exception. All righty. Feel free to send any other questions. Oh, in terms of the middle school curriculum, we do have a program guide online. So if you're really looking to dive into all of the courses, all of the requirements, all of the descriptions of the courses, what students take in the different years, we have program guides that are on the website for each division that you can download, and it has all of that in-depth information for you. And then again, you'll if you come to to an information session. The division directors for each school, they're at each divisional information session, both on campus and in person, and they go a lot deeper into the curriculum for each division. So if you'd like to learn about that, that's a great opportunity. Entry years. So that is a great question. And we do typically have open spots in many grades at Flint Hill each year. There are several grades that we have waiting pools for. And so it really depends year to year. The really natural entry points are JKK, of course, 5 and 6, just because it increases to that 3 sections and from 2 sections. So that's a natural entry point is at 5th grade, 7th grade, and 9th grade. So JKK, 5, 7, 9 are really natural entry points, just in terms of most likely to have seats available. In terms of when to bring a student over, our first several weeks of school are really focused the whole year. Every day here is focused on community building, but there's a huge emphasis into that integration between returning students and new students the first few weeks of school. And so our students here get really excited about new students also. And so any year that there's capacity available, that there's space available, is a great year to make the transition. You know, of course, we think earlier better, the earlier you can come, and your student can get used to the culture here and start getting some of those benefits of a private and Flint Hill education, the better. So you can just work, call me, email me if there's a certain grade you're thinking about, and I can let you know what the capacity is looking like for next year. Depending on some grades we have wait pools for this year, but many others we have space. More or less seats on entry years? That is a great question. So entry years, there's more seats available. There's also typically more applications, especially for 9th grade. So, that's another reason why applying sooner is beneficial, because as 9th grade gets pretty competitive, and, as do, some of the different years. But in terms of seats, the years that I mentioned are when there's the most seats available. JK, K, 5, 7, 9. Just hang for a minute, see if there's any other questions. I want to make sure everyone gets their questions answered. Thank you all for sending in the great questions. We love this part of it. All right. Well, I don't see anything else coming in. So earliest application, better the chance. Another great question. Everybody that has their application 100% complete by January 20th is an equal chance, essentially. And so we don't make decisions and share decisions on a rolling basis. So it's not a first come, first serve. If you have your application complete before January 20th, you will be considered for admission. At any time that you start to go past that January 20th deadline is when you are decreasing, honestly, the chances, because by then we have made decisions and we are making decisions and we are prioritizing people that completed the application by the deadline. And so sometimes we have spaces depending on the year and depending on the class after that deadline, but it really gets kind of dicey after the deadline. All righty. Well, I'm glad touch base on middle school sports clubs such as Tennis for Girls. We actually have at the middle school. Thank you all. Thank you for the thank yous. I'll just answer this last question and then we'll follow up with any others via email or chat or appointment or however you'd like to send it in. The athletics is actually part of the middle school program here. And so there are 3 athletic seasons, and every student in middle school chooses a sport that they do at the end of the day, almost every day in the school as part of the program. So every middle school student is taking 3 sports, 3 athletic classes a year and participating in that. Okay, well, thank you all very much for joining us. It's really great to see so many people join us today for one of our first events this year. We are here to help. We can't wait to meet you. We can't wait to continue this conversation. So email, call, come to events, schedule the meetings, all those things we talked about. And we look forward to seeing you. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. I hope you all have a great day and a great fall weekend if you're in the DC area.
Yes, thanks everybody.